Your impatience is quite understandable.
I'm impatient with stupidity. My people have learned to live without it.
I'm afraid my people haven't. I'm very sorry.
Well, I can respect your opinion. Sadly, I'm afraid you'll have to die.
Do not try to escape.
What do you want? What are you doing? Let me see you as you really are.
Dark-seeking radio.
Is there anything we can do?
Nothing. It's practically under our feet.
Welcome on BDcode on the Arc City Radio. I'm Chaba, your host for the next hour. Thanks, Bob, like always, to helping out and produce the show before he go to Spain. Tonight we're going to talk about law, how to represent in court, and we have Dave Matthew with us. Hi, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm very good, yeah. Glad to be here.
Nice. Law is something we don't learn in school, like money and politics. That's why it's extra interesting. Being in court or facing authority don't mean you are outlaw, criminal, or a terrorist. Sadly, more and more people facing court, and I think this will just increase. And it's maybe necessary in some cases to break the bond with the system. Before we start, I would like to go through two things with you, Dave. It is how I would call it a simple way, what is already not simple, and then more going in a sophistic way, maybe the Freeman way, to more bring the court like to another position than usually. But most of the people who face court, at least to not make the big mistakes. I also saw that when you get court paper, the damage is already done, and you go in court to reduce the damage in a way. So when you get the court paper, first thing to do is shit in your pants and call the lawyer.
Well, some people may, yeah. But, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can walk you through sort of anything really from, like a speeding ticket to any sort of magistrate's court level. You just sort of, if you want to, do you want me to start like from now, what happens, or do you want to talk a bit more about it first?
Yeah, I think the best is just to enter straight up in the subjects. You get the court paper, what to do first, and
okay. Well, yeah, and I've also written down for tonight, which is very unusual for me. I wouldn't do it. I don't do it on my own show, but I'm a bit more prepared for your show. So I've written a very short list of things for the listeners to actually write down for almost like a prompt sheet. So I can read them out first, and then I'll go through what actually happens from the moment you get your summons and etc. So if I just go ahead and read out just a very rough guideline. Again, nothing I'm going to say tonight is legal advice. I think Sarah Lioness described it as friendly advice, but it's a lot better than the advice that you get off a lawyer if you actually want to try and, not let them get away with fining you for something that's a right. So, what I've written down is ask questions. Very, very important to ask questions. For example, somebody claims that you are a resident. Can you, turn around and ask them, can you explain to me what the meaning of the word resident is, please? So don't let anything, accept nothing as fact, which is the next bullet point. Accept nothing as fact unless they give you a fact. And the chances are they won't be able to give you a fact. So if they claim that you are something or that a law applies to you, the next bullet point, ask them to cite the law. Ask them to explain how it became applicable, when it became applicable. All of this stuff, you must, you must absolutely make it as hard for them to pull the wool over your eyes as you possibly can, because it is a trick. So you've got to be prepared to throw spanners in the works. So ask questions, accept nothing as fact. Unless they give you a fact, ask them to cite the law if they claim there's a law. Ask how it applies to you. Ask, are they there by proper authority? You know, I'm sure people have heard it before, but they are, you know, the government are there now. That they're what's known as a de facto government, and also the courts are, and it means that it exists by fact, but it is not, what they're doing is not legally right or accepted. You know, and particularly accepted by us. I might not have quite got that last tiny bit right, but so, you know, if I'll go back over those bullet points at the end. And I've also got some stuff written down that people can go, you know, where people can go and actually start to learn what's going on and how the trick happened and such like. So the moment you get your summons in the post, I guess, say you go through a speed camera, there's many ways of sort of fighting the speed camera, and eventually it'll end up in most cases where you were summoned to court. If you look right on the summons, in near enough all cases, your name is spelt, second name is all capital letters, and that it's not. There's been mass confusion on this, but the all capital letters just means that they are writing to you as an employee of their organisation. So we are all put into the title, and I've spoken about this before, we're put into the title of an employee of the Crown. So, for example, if you worked for you know, a big corporation, McDonald's or Coca-Cola or something like that, they would have a set of company rules, and government legislation are company rules. Any legislative law or statute or act of parliament, whatever you want to call it, legislative law, act of parliament, statute, that is only and can only apply to government. It is nothing more than applies to government. I can't drum that in. If people want proof of that, they can go and look at Section 32 and 52 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is a piece of Canadian law, but it's the same wherever Crown have created a legal system. You know, the crowning right of Canada, the crowning right of, I don't know, there's loads of places. The crowning right of, the list is endless. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I should be able to, but I can't. So they can only make laws that are applicable to them. And again, Section 32 and 52, Charter of Rights of Freedom and Freedoms. So you get your summons through the post, and on it, it'll either say Mr. David Matthews, and it'll have my first name in lowercase and my second name in all capital letters. However they do it, one way takes away some of your rights, and one way takes away all your rights. And if you really want to be boring about it, it's capitis diminutiae maximus, capitis diminutiae minimus. So one removes some
and
rights.
Media also. When your family name is in capital, then it's media, and when nothing is in capital, then it's
Maximus. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so kind of you'll quite often see the Maximus or on sort of when they're going to convict you of something. You know, that's quite often the last sort of stage from my experience in what I've seen. So when what usually happens, people arrive onto magistrates' court, and you see it. You know, it's just go. I get the listeners to go in, spend an afternoon in a magistrate's court. They walk in like robots. Okay, they don't even speak other than to confirm that they are Mr. David Matthews, date of birth, blah blah blah, national insurance number, blah blah blah. Well, what you've done, as soon as you give your name and date of birth and your national insurance number. They don't always ask for the national insurance number, but as soon as you give a date of birth, address, and name, you've just waived every single deficiency in their case. So you've just granted them jurisdiction over you. You've just given them, you know, the ability to just bend you over and shaft you. Basically, you've just waived every single right that you were born with. So, what you want to be doing at that point where you go in, because it's pointless. You know, we were saying about the Freeman sort of stuff, and you've seen some videos. I'm not convinced that the videos were put out there for the correct reason. I think that they were designed for misinformation. I could be completely wrong about that. That is just my opinion. But it's very, very difficult. I know people do it, to go in and give your name and address and blah, 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 and all that stuff, and then start trying to claim common law jurisdiction. I claim common law jurisdiction. Well, that's like, I claim that bag of jelly babies on the counter. You can't just stand there and do that, because it doesn't really have any clout in the venue that you're in. So, and it doesn't work.
Personally, I'm not very convinced neither. And what I said since a while, it is, if you arrive to win in that, is probably because they just give up. And that is a very unsure way to do it, because they also can lock you up.
Yeah. I mean, you're risking contempt of court and such like, because don't forget, as soon as you've admitted to being the actual officer who they've called there, as soon as you admit to being there in that capacity, you're under the jurisdiction of them. And if you start trying to be rude or belligerent, or you don't follow orders, then you do risk contempt of court within that venue. Quite often, I mean, it's like a month or 2 months in prison. Which is not the end of the world, but it's still not a great result if you went in there to try and get out of there. So I try and steer people away from the kind of what they would say is the free man movement. I mean, that was, I guess, all that kicked off probably 2009, somewhere around that mark. I think the Raymond Sinclair video, and it's still going around now, when he did the council tax thing at Cumbrian Court, and I think he did it at Gloucester Court. But I don't.
So even in like, if we would say a simple way, you would refuse the straw man.
I would no. You wouldn't refuse the straw man, but you make what they call a special appearance, or I mean, in the Latin, I think they call it propria persona, or the proper person. Lee would probably correct me about the exact wording of that in the box, but it's you're there by way of special appearance, and special appearance questions jurisdiction. I believe that in New York, the lawyers are not even allowed to use that phrase, or they get disbarred. So it's quite a powerful phrase, but you've got to stick to your guns with it, because what they'll try and do is, if you try and say that you're for example, you've heard me on the, I don't know if that recording had it, but I'm Dave and I'm here by way of special appearance, is what I would say. Yeah, I'm Dave, or I'm Dave Matthews. Yeah, I'm here, and I'm here by way of special appearance. I'm here in the capacity of a private individual, because, that's why I originally started trying to teach people about the legal person. Your legal person is like a fancy dress shop. Your legal person can be anything, anything that you want it to be. So just because you're Dave Matthews, you can be, or you can be, you can act in any capacity that you want to. So like in the daytime, I will build rally cars. So I'm, in the capacity of an engineer, or a mechanic, or a fabricator. Or, if I was doing acting, amateur acting, I could be Dave Matthews acting as a pantomime horse. So your legal person can be used in many ways, not only one way, but they only refer to your legal person. And don't, for the listeners, the legal person is kind of your monopoly piece that you use while playing the game of life. It's something that is it's an abstraction in the world of commerce. It only exists. It has no how could I say what the legal person is? It has no.
Well, I say you are human, and the person is the identity that the system impose us, because it's not the one we choose.
Yeah. It's the tool. It's the tool to use within the system of commerce, within, bank accounts, speeding tickets, everything like that. But the only legal person, the government give you the legal person of a driver. So you're Dave Matthews, the driver, or you're Dave Matthews, the company agent, working for the Crown, or Dave Matthews, agent of government. That's who they're writing to. They're not writing to Dave Matthews in the capacity of an engine builder when they send me a speeding ticket when I'm driving, because they're writing to the driver who is the agent of the Crown. And it's a title. They're all titles which they provide you.
So the correct way to present yourself is?
I'm Dave, or I'm Dave Matthews. You can say, don't be afraid of the second name. I'm Dave Matthews, and I'm here by way of special appearance. I'm here in the capacity of a private individual. But you don't just, these aren't, like I must stress, Jabba, these aren't magic phrases. They're not like, there's not like one magic phrase that you say. When you say something like that, I'm here by way of special appearance, and I'm here in the capacity of a private individual, or I'm here in the capacity of the authorized administrator of the name. You've got to know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because the first thing they're going to do, number one, when you try and get special appearance out, they're going to try and talk over you. Okay? And they're going to try and get you to talk about the case in any tiny way that they can. And as soon as you've started arguing the case with them, you've just admitted jurisdiction again. So they if some of the listeners read books on administrative law and such like, it says right in the books on administrative law, the court system is armed with coercive powers. So they can trick you, they can coerce you into their jurisdiction so that they can do exactly to you what they want to do. And usually all they're interested in is your money, or money that in a lot of people cases they haven't got. So you must learn kind of that the most important thing to learn is how to use your legal person to your advantage. For example, with regards to driving, get them to prove up that at the time you committed the offence that you were using your driving licence. Because just because you have it, it doesn't mean you're using it. And I think you probably heard on that court recording of me, when I said to the barrister that just because I had the license, does it mean I was using it? I wasn't using it at the time. And then he was like, well, we're going to do you for not using your license. So he didn't argue with me. He didn't say that's a ridiculous thing to say. He turned around and he said, oh, well, we'll do you for not driving without a license then. And I turned around and I said, I don't care. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It really is. With regards to the driving stuff, we have been tricked in the hugest way into believing that in order to access public highways, which we already own, the people own the highways. Government don't own the highways. The people own the highways. Okay?
And it's also not the government who build them. I always say that people say like, yeah, but what you do, how you build roads if you don't have governments? I say, do you really think the government build this road? This is humans, who build this. It's not the government.
Of course, we built them. We own the roads. They are ours. They're ours to use as we please. I mean, and I'm not, and I must stress as well, because some people who may be listening for the first time or something might think, oh, well, this sounds like it could cause chaos, If you're driving without using your license, okay, if you're not under the jurisdiction, if you like, of your driving license, and you go out and kill somebody, you better believe that you're going to jail for a long time, okay, because you lose all of the unlimited liability that the government assume. It's all about liability. You're taking on liability for yourself, so you're taking responsibility on. But the flip side of that is, are you going to go out and drive like a complete idiot if you know that somebody else is not going to pick the bill up, and that anything that you do, you will be directly responsible for, and you'll be punished for, properly punished. If you go out and kill somebody, then you can expect the punishment for killing somebody. There's a flip side, a really important flip side to all of this, where people think that, it will just cause all this mayhem. And we've been tricked. We've been tricked with the registration of vehicles. That split in legal title and equitable title. If we buy a car, we own the car. It's ours. We bought. It's like buying a telly or a cup or a glass or a toaster. We own. If we buy it, we own it. Okay. When you register it with them, you don't give them ownership, but you split the title. So as soon as you split that title, they can then attach conditions of use of your car to the title. So what you want to do is when you register a car is clarify. When they write back to you and say, this is your V5, you are the registered keeper, write back to them. Write straight back to them. No, you've got your records wrong. I'm the owner of this. Correct your records immediately. Now, they're a corporation. The DVLA are a corporation. If they don't correct their records, okay, and they try and attach conditions of use, then you're going to be able to do them. You're going to be able to absolutely take them to the cleaners. And again, I'll bring your attention. There's a video going around. I think it's Dave Murphy is the guy. And there's a video where you see him get his Audi taken off him. And it's a very... When I watched that video for the first time, the first thing that came to mind, this looks like a proper film that somebody's made. Okay? It's Oh, it's a Merc. Lee said it was a Merc. It looks professionally done. Okay? It looks like a properly edited video. And I've seen people standing up to the police in these situations, okay? They were way too calm with him. They were letting him do everything that he wanted, and they covered every single angle. And I just urge you, go and watch it and see what you think. It's misinformation, because there are guys driving around in Newport right now with their own registration numbers on their number plates. They've been doing it for nearly 2 years, and they do not get touched. That is fact. That's complete fact. Okay? But they've done their paperwork. They've done everything properly. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to work for every single person everywhere. But again, we're kind of going off the courtroom subject, but I'm just giving you an example of the tricks that they played. So let me get back around to the courtroom type stuff. I apologize about that. I went off on a rant.
No, this is good.
Yeah. So once you've sort of questioned jurisdiction, you'll leave them. They'll try and trick you. They'll try and sort of trick you into talking about the case and such like. And what you do then is you can say, well, hold on a sec. I've said that I'm here by way of special appearance, and I'm here as a private individual, or I'm here as the authorized administrator of the name. Can you please, show me the person that I've hurt or the person that I've injured? They call it corpus delicti, I think, in law, because they have to, say strange names. But just ask them, who have I hurt? Who have I harmed? We saw that with Pete up in Ashton-under-Lyne when we were up there. You ask questions. Who have I harmed? Where's the injured party? So what you've done there, you've questioned jurisdiction, and now you're on to where's the injured party. Well, the injured party is the biggest deficiency in any magistrate's court case. There has to be, in law, in order for there to be a criminal offence, there has to be an injured party. Okay? Corpus delicti, just for those who want to use the correct terminology, but who have I hurt? Where's the injured party? Okay? And if they try and keep turning it around you, just stick to your guns. Can you please tell me how this law applies to me? I'm a private individual. At the time of the complaint, I was not using my license. Or, if it's a parking fine, can you please show me how this law became applicable to me? Because it's my understanding that no government laws apply to me. Are you claiming that I'm the trustee? So, again, they're putting you in the position of the trustee, to which they're attaching conditions and terms and such like. And really, it's difficult to go on from there, with the court, with what they may say next, because it's just down to the individual with how they handle that situation.
Exactly. They will also always try to bring you back to the person, to the civil person. Or...
Yeah, I mean they will again. The coercive powers. Are you Mr. David Matthews? No, I'm not Mr. David Matthews. I'm not Mr. anything. I'm Dave Matthews. And again, for your for your public record, I'm here by way of special appearance. So again, you've got to really have your wits about you, because all they want to do is trick you, jurisdiction, bend you over, job done. They just want your money and they want you out of there. You stick enough spanners in the works, they'll adjourn and they'll adjourn and they'll adjourn, and eventually they'll just stay the proceedings, because they don't want you in their courtroom. And when they start to get to realize that you know what the game is, they'll either leave you alone, or when you get to the courtroom, it'll be empty of people. You'll be waiting there till everybody's gone home, if there are people. You'll always be brought. You'll be there in the morning, then you'll be brought back in the afternoon. They will not want people seeing what you're doing inside the courtroom, because that is 100% what is going on in there. And it kind of links in as well with the Mark Stevens method, which is kind of similar to what Sarah Lioness does, in as much as asks how the law became applicable to them, because that's obviously another deficiency. Their cases are full of deficiencies, but Mark Stevens can have a lot of people in trouble just by asking 3 or 4 questions, kind of like he kind of puts the judge in a double bind. So he might ask, am I entitled to a fair and meaningful hearing? And they'll always answer yes, because they want to give the impression to you that, this is British and it's justice and nothing untoward's going on in here, and which is a complete load of bollocks. That we all know that, because there is a lot of stuff going on that shouldn't be doing. Number one, they're in there with no proper authority. But so once you've asked that question, you make them admit that, yes, you are entitled to a fair and meaningful hearing. So then you ask, can I get a fair and meaningful hearing if there's a conflict of interest? So you don't want to be making statements. And he says, himself, don't make claims if you don't really know your stuff. But this is a really good way of throwing spanners in the work. So they'll say, well, no, you can't get a proper fair hearing if there's a conflict of interest. And then maybe you can ask another question just to throw them off guard a little bit, and then turn around and say, who do you represent today, madam? Bang. And then they'll start faffing and going round in circles, and but then they might say, well, I represent the Crown, the Crown are bringing the case against me. Can you explain how that's not a conflict of interest? Okay, because we come back round to the... Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah, I see. The thing is, what I did is I asked to who they sworn, if they swore to the people or to the corporation or to the state, and they didn't really understand the question.
They understood the question. They really did. They just didn't want to answer it.
Yeah, of course. But in the end, they say to the state, to the thing, and I ask to the people. That is what I made them agree that they sworn in for the people. So it's but it's for everybody. So it's difficult to get them in a certain. Yeah,
but they are sworn to. I believe their oath is to the Crown, isn't it? Their oath of allegiance, like a lawyer's oath, is to the bar.
Well, we don't to the bar maybe, yeah. But this when they sworn in, and it's not like they have to do it any time they are coming into the court again. So they just do it when they take office one time. And that is for the.
And that's another thing, that again, you've got to watch out for then is when you get a bit more into this stuff, they'll hit you with district judges instead of magistrates. Now, a magistrate can be anybody. No offense meant, but they usually get dull people to be magistrates. Right?
They're just
secretaries. They have three lay people there, supposed lay people. Okay, so they're not really there by a proper authority, and they are only there to be a referee. So the only acknowledged legal expert in the room at that point, if you're in a magistrate's court with three magistrates, okay, the only acknowledged legal expert in the room is the clerk. So when you're dealing with a clerk, they're not dull people. Like they're I'm not saying that they're dull. but they're not quite brainy enough to be a judge. So you have got a chance, and you've got a chance if you don't start arguing. If you start arguing about laws, about actual laws and statutes, and I think there's 64 million statutes now, or 63 million statutes or something worldwide. You're not going to remember 1 million, let alone 64 million statutes. So you don't want to be arguing about points of law or, with regards to statutes, or trying to argue about the interpretation of statutes. Okay, you really don't want to be going down that road, because they've been trained in statutes and you haven't. So I would advise people against that. And I'm not saying this is the only way. I mean, like a good guy I know, Russ, he has a lot of success using their own laws against them, as does Sarah Lioness. Paul just uses the Force, which seems to work better than anything. And when I say the Force, he uses, the way that he reads people, which is often a good way. And you can see people getting nervous, and you will see them getting on their back foot when you start talking about conflicts of interest. Okay, so if they are representing the state, and the state is bringing the claim against you, and they're admitting that right off the bat, they're putting themselves into trouble. They're gonna struggle to backpedal out of that double bind that they admitted. And somebody's saying, 200 more stats invented today. It's when you start asking those kind of questions, you really do put them on the back foot. They'll start running around. They'll start moving paperwork. They'll look down. They'll do all sorts of stuff. And right there and then, that you are starting to put them on, put them at ill ease, and like they know what they're doing's wrong. And I always refer to the Crown as the de facto Crown. And I don't know if one of the people in the chat room can pull up the quote from Halesbury's Law Dictionary, 2011, about administrative courts having no proper authority and stuff. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. But if you start quoting stuff like that at them, then they start to get very, very worried. I believe it says that all administrative courts are unlawful, and there can never be a law passed to make them lawful, or something to that effect. That one of the guys found quite a while ago now. That's a pretty useful one. I use the one from a book on administrative law by Forsyth and Wade, two law professors from Oxford, and it says the Crown have few or little legal power, except in the capacity of employer. And it's just one little tiny sentence in the middle of a load of dribble that, it's bog right down in stuff, but it's there and it's clear. It's one of the most powerful sentences I've ever read. The Crown have little or few legal powers except in the capacity of employer, which is exactly what I'm telling you. Resident is another word that they will use. Are you a UK resident? Well, we've always, as you were saying when you introduced us, that we don't get legal training at school, and we're always, we're taught that we are UK residents, and it gets drummed into you. You're a resident, and resident means that you live in the UK. Well, resident does not mean that at all. Resident means that you hold office. That's their definition of resident, and they've got an act, which is the Interpretations Act, which allows them to turn any word into any bloody thing they choose. So, I would urge people, though. I think Winston Strout uses the analogy of a hammer. He could build a house with a hammer, and if somebody else came along, they would need all the tools under the sun. They might not still be able to build a house. So if you're going to go, don't go into court thinking you've got a magic statement. Okay, you've got to know your stuff. This is not for the lazy people who want to sit down and do jack shit all night and just expect somebody to come along and save them. It won't happen. We've tried the Mackenzie Friend route, where people go in and stand with people, and the Mackenzie Friend, as soon as they start throwing spanners in the works, they use a classic one. We don't feel that your Mackenzie Friend is helping you, so he has to leave. and you have to go and stand at the back of the court like a naughty boy. So nobody's going to come and save you. You're not. It's pointless waiting for a savior, because the only person that's going to save you is yourself, and you've got to learn the stuff. The people individually. Sure, there's people out there that'll help. All over the place. You really do. There's a lot of people that are willing to help, but there's only so much they can do. And then you have to go it alone, and you have to know your stuff. So,
and like you say, it's better really to know what you're gonna say, or just ask question and bring it to a point that you get it. That is like you use what you say. If you go to court, you really have to inform yourself and know the stuff you're gonna use.
Yeah, exactly. It's pointless going in. It's like driving a car, isn't it? It's like you wouldn't come up to a car and jump in it and put your foot flat on the floor, because you wouldn't know what any of the controls did. You just made the car go really fast. It smacked into a tree, and you get out and you're like, that car's the biggest load of crap I've ever had. Look what happened. I got a broken arm. I got a twisted leg. Look what it just did to me. Well, no, the car didn't do it to you. You did it to you because you were stupid. Because you got in it without knowing how it worked, and you tried to drive it. So, and it's the same with a person. It's that like there's loads of people that have used that. That's not something that I've invented, that sort of analogy of it. But there's the legal person needs to understand what it is and how you can use it to your advantage. And again, I've got some sort of stuff if people want to get into this and to get a good feel of what's happening is videos to watch are, you got Franco Collins, Western Roman law. Now lawyers will claim that Western Roman law doesn't exist and they're not practicing it and blah blah blah. I mean, they mainly use kind of contract law really with hidden contracts. But
I saw like in Europe, the civil law is the coding of the different existing laws. So
say that again. Sorry.
The civil code, like how we have it in Europe, it is the name of the law we have is civil code.
Yeah.
And this is a coding of the different existing laws.
Oh, right. Okay. I've not heard that. But I mean,
that is the definition of the civil code. If you go to Switzerland and look after from where it comes, it is a coding of the different existing laws.
Right. Okay.
So that means everything. I mean, the existing law, they still exist, and you just have the coding of it. So that is the definition in Switzerland. What I found about the law, what is the civil code, how we call it. And,
so civil code would be the same as our statutory code, then, would it? Or civil? No, civil is kind of.
Yeah, it's really the law we have, like the Stroman code. We are under, like everything is under that.
But that all comes down from Western Roman laws,
exactly. But it is exists. Yeah. The existing laws is like it's like the Roman law, it's canon law, it's the maritime UCC even is in there, because the person is in the court we are facing. I don't know exactly how it is in UK or in America, but like the law we have is only commercial. It's 100% commercial. It's nothing. We don't have human being in our law books.
Oh no, it's always persons. It is always persons. And just on that Western Roman law, if you watch, there's a video that Franco Collins does. It's only 45 minutes long, but he's got a really nice mannerism and a very good way of explaining, about the Sesta KV trusts and such like. And it's worth just having a look at that Western Roman law, Franco Collins. Winston Shrout, he is absolutely superb, Winston Shrout, but extremely difficult to understand. So you might want to watch some other stuff to kind of learn. But I mean, the stuff that Winston's been doing has been good for a lot of years. He does sell DVDs, and people always piss and whinge about this as well. When these guys like Winston would be selling the DVD, people get very excited, and I use that word. I get bollocked for using that word to describe people get pissed off, but people get very excited. He's selling DVDs. I mean, the man has done. he's given God knows how many years of his life to learn stuff to teach us. So what makes us think that he should just do that for us for free? You know, we'll all help people, we'll all help our fellow man, but I mean, these people put years and years and years and years and years of their life into this stuff, and then, you know, they can't do anything else. They're so busy with it, they end up not being able to do anything else. So, you know, him making 500 quid out of selling a load of DVDs, I don't think we can begrudge people that, from my own opinion. But again, that is my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's like the donation. It's not because you ask for a donation that you are like disinformation. You know, I mean, it's like Franco Collin. I mean, he is in deep shit, and that's why we still didn't get him on the radio. He had to move houses. He had to. He is in deep shit, and since 15 years he studied the law and explain all that, and he don't ask a cent for that.
Yeah, and that's right. And like you say, 15 years is a long time to be studying this stuff, and a lot of these boys can tie the lawyers up in absolute knots and kick him into the bin. So Winston Trout, another good guy to listen to, very, very experienced. Don't be afraid to buy DVDs if you're you know, interested in learning that stuff. If you don't think you should pay for a DVD, then I think that you should go to work for the next 3 weeks and not get paid, just to see what you think it's like, and if you think that you're making a statement that's good. Dean Clifford, Making It Simple, absolutely superb way of describing. He does like a breakdown. He does one called Making It Simple, one called Both Sides, and it's a breakdown of how the titles work and the different jurisdictions. So you've got your inherent rights versus your privileges, you know, and he goes right the way through it and explains it all. He swears and cusses a lot, which is quite funny. And he does... Pardon?
Books?
That is, yeah, I'm getting onto the books as well. The last video then... is there's a conversation between Mark Stevens and Ben Lowry. Now, Ben Lowry is, in my opinion, the biggest dick that God created, but that is just my opinion. He might be a lovely chap, but the actual conversation, you will learn a lot from Mark Stevens. He's a really, really clever guy, and he has got a book out called Adventures in Legal Land. So Mark Stevens and Ben Lowry is the conversation, the video to listen to. Ignore Ben Lowry. And his book, Mark Stevens' book, is Adventures in Legal Land. And again, that's just all based around asking questions, so accepting nothing as fact and, you know, that type of thing. Any books on contract law or administrative law. There are, you know, loads. Like I say, that Forsyth and Wade one is the one that I've got. That's the one I have, you know, that I sort of carry around with me. You know, and that's the type of thing that you can do to learn. But don't think that you've got a magic sentence and go trotting off to the court. Try this magic sentence. They eat you for tea, and then you come back and blame me or Jabba or Franco Collins or Winston Trout or Dean Clifford and Mark Stevens for the fact that you just got your ass chewed off because you were too lazy to learn. You've got to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, years in some cases, to get your head around it. But once you understand it, you will be the biggest pain in the ass going. So I do really encourage it, and it is a lot of fun. That's the most important thing. When you go in there, you go in there to have fun. You know, like when we went
just
up
amazing. When I hear that from you, I think that is very funny. You know, it's like the nightmare of everybody is the fun for you, and I think definitely that is what you also told me last time. It is when you go in that court, they want to impress you, they want to scare you, they want to show the power over you. Everything is done for that, and you have to put in your mind that you just go in a room to talk with people.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, very important point. The whole thing, the whole experience is designed to put the shits right up you. You know, you walk into the room and it's like, it's been designed by skullfuckers to be frightening to you. They want you in there shaking like a leaf. And you see people, I've said it time and time again, you'll see people that will drink 4 pints of lager on a Friday night and break your jaw and think nothing of it and walk away and laugh at you, or stamp on your head or kick you in the face. And they walk into a magistrate's court and they're the biggest wimp under the sun. You know, it's designed to scare people, and it works because it scares even the most, you know, the most vicious characters under the sun. Go into a magistrate's court and shit their pants. You've got to walk in there as if you're walking into somebody's living room. You know, it's just a room. That is all it is. It's a square room with, in the case of magistrates, 3 dicks sitting up in front of you. What I use when I go in there, and I know I'm only kind of swearing for shock factor, but if there's 3 magistrates, it's a pair of balls and a dick. That's how I look at them. And in my mind, that's what I see: a pair of balls and a dick. And that's all they are. They're just a referee. If they start jumping up and screaming at you contempt of court, just ask them, are you practicing law from the bench? You know, are you practicing law? Are you making legal determinations? Get your bar card out. Let's have a look at it. They can't do it. They are there only to referee. You know, it's don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of them. They're no different to me and you. They're just people. But they do try and get the dullest people to do the refereeing, and then they just give them like a week training program where they go in and they're given little bullet points, and so in effect they're in there with magic phrases. You know, they're given a rough guideline. You're not. You've learned your stuff. If you listen to me and all of the other people, you've learned your stuff. You know who you are. So they can't turn it around and trick you. You go to Ashton-under-Lyne Court with Paul, and you'll really see some fun. And I mean, that's the most important thing I must stress. Go as if it's a day out. It's as if you're going for a picnic or you're going to watch a concert, because that's what it's fun. So have fun.
You mentioned a lot magic, the spell and all that. I don't know if you saw the video I sent you. He turned around all about this magic and these spells, and I refer a lot the law to magic, because I think that it is making spells, and with all the stamp they have, with all the different symbols they use to make magic. That is what is happening in court. They really want to make magic to you. So if they show you the left hand, watch the right hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the trickery is unbelievable. The laws are these laws. I don't know if anybody's actually sat down and read, something like the Income Tax Act or something like that. They're mind-numbingly boring. Okay, and even the people that write them probably don't understand them. They're designed so that they're designed to cause controversy. They're designed so that the people arguing about them can make money out of them. The Law Society, that's another very important point which I should have definitely touched on. As soon as you employ a lawyer, you've just waived all the deficiencies in their case. When you go into court, you take a lawyer in there with you, and you are getting bent over, and you know what? That is a very, if you're going to do this stuff, you've got to learn to do it yourself. Because for the moment you employ one of their bar association peoples, you that's it. Jurisdiction's granted. End of story. You're back.
You're incapable of defending yourself. That means you're like a vegetable.
You're a dunce, really. You're classing yourself as incompetent.
Yeah.
When you employ a lawyer and such like. So, and they're not going to tell you that. We did see that one girl with Pete up at Ashton-under-Lyne when we gave her like a little list of questions to ask the judge, and her face lit up. She smiled and she said to Pete, she said, "I can't ask these questions, but I suggest you do." So they're bound by their own rules. It's the same, if you equate it to a game of football or something, they have to play by the football rules. You'll get the odd lawyer maybe that doesn't mind sending the odd curveball, but they have to play by their own bar association rules. They have to operate within that. You know, and them knowing full well that there has to be an injured party and not asking for one is not going to help you, but it's certainly the oath that they are sworn to uphold. So, you know, again, that's the lawyers. I think Franco Collin in the actual word, isn't it? Something like pathological liar. If you look back through Latin history and stuff, and I believe barrister is representative of a dunce in some of the old descriptions. I could be completely wrong. I'm sure it was Franco Collins that was.
We have 4 minutes left. I have just some little questions. It's like when they arrest you, they tell you your rights, and the first is you can remain silent, but remaining silent means you give your consent. Is that correct?
That's a difficult one. Right. In what case? What, in relation to failing to provide details or something like that?
Yeah, when the police arrest you, they always tell you your rights, and they do it always in the circle where they arrest you. One of these rights is you can remain silent, but in court, when you remain silent, you give your consent. That means yes.
Silence is, in law, silence is consent. But you could rebut that consent when you get into custody, where they interview you. You could say that the only reason I'm here is because you've dragged me here. You've dragged me here against my will. My free will is to leave. I am now going to, invoke my right to remain silent. I have nothing to say to you. I haven't committed any crimes. End of story, and leave it at that. Again, the court doesn't gain jurisdiction over you because of what you do on the side of the road. You know, when it goes to court, that's a whole different ball game. That's a whole new matter. You know, not the matter. That's a whole new jurisdiction. So they've got to get jurisdiction. Somebody's just saying in the chat box. Sorry, I was just no Rice versus Connolly. I'll just read this out of the chat box. No, Rice versus Connolly. You can remain silent. You have the right to. Yeah, we're not disputing that, Jason. Whether you can. You absolutely have the right to remain silent. I'm not even sure if they say that you have the right to remain silent anymore. I don't know.
Maybe they don't say it anymore. But at least
I forget what they say.
As soon as they told you your rights, they ask you if you understand your rights, and then you say yes, and that is contract. Is that correct?
Yeah. If they say, "Do you understand your rights?" Just say no. I don't understand my rights. I need them explained to me. And stuff like that. But I mean, you could just not even answer that and just, go in and deal with it. But, it's always unwise to pick a fight with these people, particularly abroad in places like Canada. They'll get the taser out and give you an electric shock as quick as look at you. So you don't pick, you don't pick a fight with a 5-year-old with a gun. So, a lot of these people don't know what's going on. You've got to look at the fear factor as well that they use, and the people doing the jobs that are I'm only doing my job, they're in fear of losing their job and losing everything they have. So they're going to just do what they're being told to do, no matter what you say or do in most cases. And also on that right to remain silent, there is a European court ruling has said, because you actually testify against yourself on a fixed camera, a speed camera, and a European court has ruled that in that case you do not have the right to remain silent. So in all cases you do not have the right to remain silent, because they have actually, European Court of Human Rights have actually made that ruling. I don't know if people knew that, but
okay,
yeah,
I think we are coming to the end of the show. Thank you so much. So some very good stuff. And if people want to listen more to Dave, it's Thursday Personal Navigation from 8 to 10. Is that correct?
Yeah. And it's good. It's been a good show. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you so much. And talk to you very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This was BDcoded on the Arc City Radio. Thanks everybody for listening. and see you next week.
Slow down. Everybody just keep